Look, it's also a real honor to be able to practice a tradition that has been practiced for tens of thousands of years, right? To sit around and tell stories like First Nations people have done since the beginning of their time to bring us closer to thriving. And I want to honor them in the work that we do and the stories that we share today. As always, my role in this space is to invite more men and more boys into this conversation. I want to say thanks to those who showed up, for those who we know, and for those who are here. This conversation is really for you, it's for us. The reality for me is that I should have been here sooner. We know for a fact that, women have been advocating against oppression for all people for a really, really long time, since long before I was even born. And I'm not just saying that to make friends, I'm saying that because it's the truth. But for me, the reality is that it took losing my best friend to men's violence to really see the oppression that I was actually part of. Before I really realized my role in ending this crisis of men's violence. Like most men, I thought that my role was just to be a good guy. And if you're a good guy, you don't have to show up to the rallies. If you're a good guy, you don't have to listen to the stories. If you're a good guy, you don't have to change anything because you're already a good guy. And one of my main reflections of doing this work is what I believed I knew about the man who took the life of my best friend and her 3 babies. Because for a period of time, as shameful as it is to admit, I did think he was just another good guy. And we see stories in the news about these men. And they'll tell us he's just a good guy, right? They'll say he's a wonderful, loving father who just fell from grace. That he was a rugby star who just fell from grace. Or they'll try and tell us that he's a monster from a community that we've been told we're supposed to fear and hate. But when we face the facts, we realize that he is neither. He's just a man, not a monster. He's a man who we've likely had a beer with, who we've worked alongside, who we've been neighbors to. He was just a man, just like any of us. But the thing is for us guys is that we're so convinced that he's just another good guy that we refuse to see him for what he is. Someone, yes, you've had a beer with, and also someone who's abusive and controlling of women. See, I've also reflected a lot on this whole idea of what it means to be a good guy. And the issue for us men is that being a good guy has always meant staying silent or making excuses whenever we see something isn't right. It's meant choosing the bro code as some kind of way to show loyalty. It's meant that thinking that misogyny is just a word that was made up to oppress men. When the reality that we know is that misogyny is the hatred of women, and misogyny gives men permission to hurt and kill women. But most men don't believe that. Because if, for me, who's traveled around the country, spoken to lots of men, they'll tell me, Dave, I don't hate women. But we'll still bully and belittle and shame each other for not being man enough, when not being man enough is everything we expect women to be. To be kind and caring and nurturing and empathetic, these are the things that we shame each other for whenever we try to engage with them. And then we blame women for how that shame that we do to each other oppresses us. See, we call ourselves protectors, we call ourselves providers, and we tell ourselves that we're supposed to be tough and strong and arrogant and unfeeling, and we're supposed to, above all else, make sure that we get all the attention of women, that their world should revolve around us. And we strive for all of this just for the attention of the boys, thinking that this is what it means to be a good guy, when the reality is that this has always come at the expense of women and girls. Yeah. Woo. Fellas, I want you to really ask yourself what happens. What happens when we show up as this person who is loving and connected and empathetic? We tell the boys maybe, hey, I'm going to hang out with my girlfriend tonight, I'm not coming to the footy. Then all of a sudden the group chat, it starts popping off. You're a simp, you're weak, you're gay, you're a girl, you're a pussy, you're dogging the boys, you don't come to us whenever she dumps you on your ass. See, we start shaming each other for wanting love, and instead of challenging the shame itself, you just blame her. She's the one who wanted to hang out, she wanted your time, she wanted your attention, so somehow this must be her fault. So instead of challenging what's going on in that group chat, just turn and make it her fault. And in one fell swoop, you can be one of the boys again and exploit her for wanting your attention. Now, I'm sorry to those this has impacted. But simply by sending a picture of her in that group chat, he's still seen as a good guy, according to what the boys have learned it means. And she suffers because we have decided that being a good guy also means failing to show up. It means ignoring her and how it impacts her, because people will blame her for what he did. They'll say, why would you be with someone like that? Why wouldn't you just leave him? Why would you share that stuff with him? They will blame her for what he did, rather than saying to her, I am so sorry that this happened. He should never have done that. This is not your fault. I am so sorry. I've spent a lot of time doing this work in this space, talking about the problem of men's violence. And it is a men's violence problem, so I want to offer men some solutions. We have to think about what happens if we show up and call these characteristics feminine all you want. I do not care. But if we show up as kind and empathetic and courageous and loving, then what happens in that group chat is the boys show up very different. Because being a good guy in that group chat will start to mean showing up and saying, hey bro, we don't share that stuff here. I've deleted it from the chat. If you can't keep it to yourself, don't share it anymore. Delete it off your phone. Bro, you're sitting down by yourself and creating pictures like this. What's going on, man? Are you okay? See, if we change what it means to be a good guy, the boys start to show up really different. And I recognize that we absolutely do need laws to protect women and girls and all young people from AI-facilitated sexual abuse that goes far beyond the sharing of images. But most of us men don't need the law to tell us what it really means to be a good guy, but we have to define it better. From now on, being a good guy means showing up for your mates in a way that truly represents the safety of women and children. Because it is us. It has always been us. Most of the people are here right now because of us. If we may not have done it, but we definitely knew him. He was not a monster. He was just a man like us. So for the men who are here and for the men we know, our laws take far too long when it comes to the safety of women. So stop waiting for the legislation. Show up now. Show up everywhere. And if you believe you're a good guy, it's time to raise the standard and start living up to it. Thank you.